I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And this morning's topic is winging it, just sort of going by the seat of your pants and to be looking at the balance between trust and control and creating an open space for expression. So before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light, lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, and creating a brilliant beam of light from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining stress and tension, negativity, fatigue. And now let's gently press our palms together. Softly, softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms to feel the deliciousness of that sensation and to bring yourselves present right here, right now, into these remarkable physical forms that enable us to experience life. So welcome, welcome, welcome. It is a new week and we're moving into the new year more deeply with every day, and yet it's still new enough to be looking at intention and vision for the coming year. And I guess this feeds into our conversation about winging it. What does it look like to create a balance between having a plan and allowing things to unfold as they will? Because they're going to unfold as they will anyway. It's just a matter of how much influence we choose to assert, how much we try to direct and control the unfolding. So I'll admit clearly that winging it came up as a topic because I hadn't thought of a topic this morning. So I realized, okay, well, I'm winging it. Well, so what does that look like? It's a weird phrase, isn't it? Winging it, because I'm not sure of the origins of that term. I think it's pretty interesting. Anyway, when we think of winging it, it means, I think it has meant going in unprepared. And I don't know that that's an accurate reflection. So like this morning, I made it into our topic. So, but every morning, really, I don't have a specified plan. I have a framework. I have a context. And by the way, if you have put in any comment and I haven't responded, it's because I don't see any yet. So just so you know. So, they say that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And so when we're winging it, it's often the case that we have had the preparation in some way, shape, or form. So by creating this container, this context, we know that this is a free form conversation. We know that the intention is to explore. So winging it, we're winging it every day in some way. And so I was considering, well, what does it take to just throw yourself at the mercy of whatever's unfolding. And, it's funny because we can do that consciously or not, but the truth is that life is going to unfold as life unfolds. So it's interesting that at the source of being able to wing it with some degree of confidence, there are several things that are required. There, the connection with the material, the connection with the universe, trust of oneself, trust of one's competence. All these things are essential to being able to really just wing it. And so, again, I'm going to mention that if you've put in a comment and I haven't responded, it's because I haven't seen it. I didn't see any comments yet. So it looks like we are live on Facebook. So I'm guessing that some people are seeing this, I hope. But anyway, I wonder when we look at our lives and we step into doing things, what we do is we create a context within which those things get accomplished, and then the details are controlled or not controlled. So let's say we're going to make a presentation. Winging it would be just having the foundation information and then showing up. And what this is bringing to mind actually is that the whole notion of winging it has different degrees for different people. So you might even create a presentation document and not plan out or practice every single word. And maybe you don't plan out any words, you just have the presentation there as the jumping off point or an anchor, or maybe you don't even have the presentation. So we all have different degrees of comfort with situations that are new and unfamiliar. And maybe it's not even a matter of how new it is or how unfamiliar it is, as much as the familiarity with the context. So you might create a loose plan. Some people need less structure than others. So with a loose plan, we can have an impromptu kind of engagement, right? And the truth is that no matter how carefully we plan, there are instances, occurrences that disrupt those plans in ways that are often unanticipated. And so when I think about the words winging it, I think of a bird soaring. I think of a bird sort of navigating the currents of the air. And I think that we can achieve a level of grace with that as we allow ourselves to make life a responsive rather than reactive experience, where it's a dance, with the possibilities, an exercise in flexibility and collaborative dance. There's Gia. Welcome, Gia. It's so good to have you here with us this morning. You are our very first commenter. So great to be here with you. We're talking about winging it and what it means to find a balance between planning and trust, and I'm going to say context. So when we don't have a context, we all have different degrees of tolerance for the unknown, for the unpredictable. And I think the more tolerance we have for the unpredictable, maybe the easier our life is, because there's so much unpredictability in life. And one of the things that I advocate with my clients is to be allowing life to unfold. You know, there's a place at which we start with like, don't do anything, and that's not a prescription to do nothing, but really what it is a prescription to do the things that you're moved to do through inspiration. And I guess the question is, how much planning do we need? What kind of threshold for planning and control, in big air quotes, in our lives? You know, it's funny for me, I notice that the more rigid a structure I create, the more I rebel against it, even though it's my own creation. You know, like if I say, okay, I'm gonna do this from this time to this time, and then that from when it's not a commitment to another person, where I've needed to schedule things in a way that that another person can also count on, then I tend to rebel against that structure. However, I can have a list of things to accomplish, and I can allow myself to work with that list. And then I discover what my true priorities are as I'm working with the list, because there'll be many things that I choose not to do, at least not in a given moment. Or it may not even be a matter of priorities. It may be a matter that I'm not feeling the inspiration to do those particular things in that particular time frame or that particular time sequence. And so, you know, that's great if we're operating from a place of connectedness and awareness. Maybe not so great if we are operating from a place of avoidance and procrastination. I think we get to look at this balance of trust for the unfoldment of life and for our own inner wisdom, to honor that we have the capacity to be connected in such a way that we do things in perfect timing. And there may be an argument that we do things in perfect timing anyway, even when we feel like the timing is off. So winging it, I'm wondering how much in your life you allow yourself to wing it, to improvise, you know, where we have this improvisational relationship with life, rather than trying to impose our will versus inspiration on life. And when we do that, I think, well, in my case anyway, oftentimes life has different ideas, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it. So what gives us the freedom and the security to be able to be self-expressed within a context that that requires some structure? You know, how do we dance in that? You know, if we're given a little cubicle, this funny image just came to mind. Good morning, Rosalind. So good to have you here with us this morning. So I was just thinking about constraining dance, and there used to be these dance cages in discos. You know, this was, and I never particularly frequented discos, but you know, images of these women dancing in these cages or these cubicles. And so if you have, I don't know what's going on with my voice this morning. Sorry about that, guys. If you have a constrained space within which to dance, you still can be expressive, and there might be limitations on the kinds of moves you can make. And those limitations, as we've spoken about recently, can be a source of creativity, you know, can inspire us to be even more creative than we would have been had we not had those constraints. But we do have the ability within a constrained context to be expressive and creative and winging it, right? So when does it feel like winging it? Because I think in some situations it can feel anxiety producing, where I think about, I'm not prepared, you know, to step into something and just be improvisational about it, just let it unfold, and have a clear intention, and then allow things to be. I mean, that's kind of the recipe for ease, I think, in life, is to have a clear intention, which creates the context rather than all the specific details. And I tend to think that the more we manage each specific detail, the more, well, for me, it's being generated. The need to manage every specific detail is generated from a foundational anxiety. That's a hypothesis right now, but and yet practicing the delivery of something, you know, I guess I'm thinking now of actors learning the lines, learning the mapping. In other situations, actors learn the character, which enables the lines to land more authentically for them. But and some dances certainly are very, very carefully, well, lots of dances are very, very carefully orchestrated, very, very specifically defined. And even within those defined steps, there's room for expression of the individual dancer. You know, like that's when the dancer can become that expression, the dancer can become those movements. Very interesting, very interesting. So I love what you're saying, Rosalind. Rosalind says, I went to a gem store, and you don't need to know much about the properties to pick out a stone. Whatever rock you're drawn to is the one to pick. And so what's underlying that statement, Rosalind, is trust, right? To say, I trust that I'm going to be drawn to the right thing. I trust myself, or I'm in alignment with myself, such that I can trust myself to make a decision and to to honor that there's a part of me that knows what decision ought to be made. I trust the universe or the unfoldment of life such that the perfect thing is going to be presented to me. And I guess the question is that winging it? Are we winging it when we are trusting life? And when I think again about winging it, I think of a bird soaring. I think of the freedom of that. And so I guess the underlying question is, regarding the balance between planning and performing, or planning and implementation, or planning and living, winging it, trust. It's a matter of how much trust do we have? How much preparation do we need to make? And what's that going to look like? So with these mornings with you guys, I really do reside very much in trust, and it's kind of awesome for me to recognize that, because how it usually works is 15 minutes before we get started, I sit down and I say, okay, what are we talking about today? And it comes to me, and I trust every morning that it's going to come to me. So, in a way, I'm winging it up to that point, just like knowing it's going to happen. And that's where our topics come from. And this morning, I had less than 10 minutes to get everything all set up and to decide what we were talking about and what the description was going to be. And again, why I'm really talking about my regular process, because in a way, it's winging it, winging it up to the point where I believe that things are going to unfold the way they need to, that a topic's going to arise, that life will present itself to me in the way that is most going to forward my beingness and my being. And so what happens when we live with that trust? Do we carry that into, I mean, I guarantee that there are places in your life where you trust. And so what I wonder is if you can identify those places and the mechanism that allows you that trust, what happens? I mean, how can you rather transfer that trust to other circumstances? How can you apply that mechanism of trust to other opportunities and other circumstances? In other words, how can you expand that super sense? I'm going to call it a super sense, because when we trust, there's an awareness, there's a presence. It all comes back to presence. We keep saying that again and again, but there's a connection that allows us to be responsive, to be in this collaboration, this improvisational give and take. I have never done an improv class, but one of the things I understand about improv is that you come from a place of yes. And what that means to come from a place of yes is, or yes and. So somebody will put out this outrageous idea, and you take that idea, you don't disagree with it or challenge it, you agree with that and add to it. And maybe that's a good topic. Yes, and so what does it look like to be approaching life from a yes and place? So Rosalind says children lack, and I have no idea what you mean. Oh, okay, thank you. Children lack restraint and will try anything. Maybe children lack fear, at least until they don't, right? And we'll try all kinds of things. There's this beautiful beginner's mind that's part of the zeitgeist of childhood, or in our idealized notion of what childhood is anyway, you know, where there's no fear, there's this place of innocence, there's this wide-eyed curiosity and willingness to discover. I had a wonderful session yesterday with someone who was talking about interaction with clients and a frustration and judgment, both with themselves and of clients at sometimes when people didn't have a willingness to go deeper, and the frustration with themselves that they couldn't get to a place where they could be curious. And I know we've talked about curiosity as an antidote to judgment, where instead of asserting that I know better, to become curious about what's going on with the other person, and that can breed a deeper sense of connection as well. Connection, understanding, and so the children are more driven, at least in our idealized notion of children, are driven by this unfettered curiosity and wonder, and like that's the place that I most enjoy to come to life from, is a place of wonder and curiosity and possibility, and to experience life through those eyes of innocence. When we can retrieve it, it's just such a gift. So Rosalind says, "Good morning, Tammy. Tammy, I don't see you. So I don't know if you're here. I've not responded to, obviously, I've not responded to comments I don't see. So far, I've only seen comments from Gia and Rosalind. So if you're, please don't think I'm ignoring you. I'm not. I just don't see the comments showing up here through Restream. So I'm not, maybe I'm missing some other things that are happening in the chat, which I apologize for. So anyway, today's topic was winging it, and the freedom that's available to us when we find that balance between creating a context or planning and allowing life to unfold, and trusting ourselves and trusting the universe to allow that to serve our highest good and our highest expression. So I think that's it for today. Welcome to the week. Enjoy your Monday. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page. And I just saw a comment from Dido. Dido says, "I'm here, planning and presence." Love it. I'm so glad you're here, as always. And yes, I think we can have both planning and presence, right? And throw in some inspiration. We're creating this awesome brew, inspiration, trust, this brew for expression and freedom and vitality. So it's always wonderful to be with you guys. I so appreciate you and your interactions and your presence here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And so much love to you. Please check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network, EWN One with the Earth, Enlightened World Living, and until next time.